Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. All right, everybody. I'm back. Good to be back. So let's go ahead and keep the college football betting preseason content coming. We have done over-under predictions on Bama, Georgia, Texas, and Oklahoma. Today, it is the Tennessee Vols. It is worth noting, by the way, we record these in early July. We're actually recording the day after Josh Heupel was at the podium for SEC Media Days. So I bring it up because these are evergreen. You might watch it in late July, early August, listen whenever. I just bring it up because stuff is going to change. So yeah, if there's some weird story that comes out in late July, early August, don't yell at me in the comments. We're recording as of July 16th. This is what you need to know about Tennessee. First of all, let's spend half a second, going back to last year, because, in my opinion, I thought it was largely a dream season for Tennessee. It's one thing to be a program coming into a year with very high expectations, and I think justifiably high expectations at this time last year. It's another thing to completely live up to them, especially because, let's be honest, Tennessee fans, no disrespect, but, prior to Josh Heupel, it hadn't been a pretty, 15 years or so, and so there were a lot of expectations, but Tennessee, I thought from day one, looked very much like a playoff contender and a team that could compete at the top of the sport. Obviously, early season dominating win to open week one. Week two, you play NC State, in that neutral site game. You destroy NC State. And that was, to me, the moment where it was like, oh, this team is really good. And guess what? It's not just Nico. It's not just the offense. It's not just Heupel dialing things up like when he had Hendon Hooker. You have a great defense. You have a great run game with Dylan Sampson. And that basically stood the test of time the rest of the season. A couple weeks later, you obviously have the big Heupel return game to Norman, Oklahoma. You win that. You go into the bye and lose to Arkansas. We know that was disappointing, but that's a great thing about a 12-team playoff, right? You're not defined by your worst Saturday if you bounce back. And to their credit, they do that. They beat Florida in overtime. Third Saturday in October, they take care of Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State. You do lose to Georgia late in the year, but we all know what it came down to, right? You beat Vandy on that final day of the regular season. You are in the 12-team college football playoff, and that's exactly what happened. Congrats to Tennessee. They make the college football playoff. No, it wasn't pretty against Ohio State, but I think in hindsight, we all realize Ohio State was awesome, and maybe they just needed to get their butt kicked by Michigan to kind of, wake them up. But I bring it up because, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for any Tennessee fan, thought it was a successful season, even if it was a disappointing end. Now, let's get to the offseason. And if you've been watching from the beginning, you already know what I'm going to say. A lot of craziness, and it ain't Josh Heupel's fault. Not only is it not Josh Heupel's fault, by the way, if you're a Tennessee fan, make sure we have a Torres-specific Tennessee Twitter page. Torres on the Vols for late-breaking Tennessee news. Benjamin helps me run that. He is a Tennessee student. He does a great job. Torres on the Vols on Twitter. Follow us there. So let's talk spring. And like I said, listen, we all kind of know where we were when that Pete Naco story breaks, and I think there's some what's true, what's not, what's this, what's that. But I think what 99.9% of people agree with, Josh Heupel and Tennessee handled it perfectly. We don't need to relitigate it. But listen, it was what it was. The family and the quote-unquote advisors overplayed their hands. They made a mistake, and Tennessee stood their ground. And I think what's important to note is what I said off the jump. Tennessee did not make the playoff because of Nico Iamaleava. I'm not trying to be a jerk. This isn't a bash Nico segment. They made it despite him. And so they stood their ground. He ends up leaving. You bring in Joey Aguilar. And listen, I do think as we move ahead to this year, as we move ahead to the offense, Joey Aguilar is the big story. He is coming from technically UCLA via App State. Last year, 3,000 yards passing, under 50, right around 56% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. But I think there's a couple things to note here about Tennessee. First of all, very balanced offense. top 15 nationally in total yards, top 12 in scoring. But do you see the thing? Let me say this, okay? You do lose Dylan Sampson. You had a top 10 run game. But what I think stands out to me is the one thing that you cannot deny about Josh Heupel, okay, is the fact that he is great at adjusting to his talent, and he is great at adjusting on the fly, right? So yes, do you want your quarterback coming in mid to late April, early May? No, of course you don't want that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen, okay? But let's go back, 3 years ago? Well, you open with Joe Milton. It doesn't work out. You immediately pivot to Hendon Hooker. Last year, everyone thinks it's going to be a Nico-based offense. It becomes a Dylan Sampson-based offense. And I thought Josh Heupel really articulated this well at SEC Media Days. Producer Matt, you can pop up what Josh Heupel said when he was kind of asked about the quarterback position. Offensively, we have found a lot of ways to win during the course of my career as an offensive coach and as a head coach. Through the air and on the ground, we have found a way to be elite year in and year out. You look at what we've done. 2 SEC players of the year in the last 3 years. So that's obviously Hendon Hooker and Dylan Sampson. 1 at quarterback, 1 at running back. He continued. The last 2 years, we've led the SEC in rushing. The last 4 years since we've arrived, we've rushed for 125 yards per year each year. That has never been done in the history of Tennessee football. Really proud of what we've done, but the guys in the staff that we have to continue to grow as we move forward this year into the 2025 season. So I bring it up because, look, I know it's a weird situation. What I also know is Josh Heupel, 2 things. 1, never afraid to pivot, never afraid to adjust to his personnel. And as crazy as that whole situation was, the truth of the matter is if they need to be a run-based team, they will be a run-based team. And oh, by the way, it's not like he hasn't proven capable of that. As he said, 4 straight years, they've rushed for 125 yards per season as a team, or per game per season as a team. Never been done in Tennessee history throughout all of the great years that program has had. So it speaks to this offense. It speaks to the coaching staff. And here's the other thing. Joey Aguilar isn't going to have to do it alone. In addition to Joey Aguilar, you have on offense Desmond Bishop. I am all over the place today in this preview. But in this preview, I'm tripping all over my words here. Deshaun Bishop. I apologize. Tennessee fans, crush me in the comments. Deshaun Bishop, 455 carries, 3 touchdowns a year ago. Chris Braswell returns 29 catches, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think it's worth noting those numbers were actually down from the year before when he had 44 catches for 711 yards. So you kind of know that guy can produce when he's a focal point of the offense. Mike Matthews, former 5-star, is back. Braylon Staley is back at wide receiver. And, of course, Miles Keitzman at tight end is back and was one of the key players at Media Days. As far as the O-line is concerned, you lose a ton, but you do get Lance Hurd back at 1 tackle spot, played in 11 games, started all of the games that he played in. He did have a little bit of injury concern, but he's back. On the other side, David Sanders, the number 1 offensive tackle in high school football a year ago, is going to start at the other offensive tackle. And the one thing that I keep going back to, Josh Heupel, again, has always figured out a way to run the football. And so I don't care that the O-line is new. I don't care that we don't know many of the names. I think Josh Heupel's going to figure it out. You know what else also helps? That defense is filthy, okay? And listen, I know they lost a lot off of last year's team. Led by James Pierce Jr., he's gone. You lost a ton of talent off that team. What you also can't deny, that defense was absurd last year. The coaching staff remains intact, and you do have plenty of talent back on that side of the ball. First of all, this is a crazy stat. Tennessee, Heupel, offensive coach, we think of them as an offensive team. How about this? Tennessee finished in the top 25 nationally in 9 different defensive categories. fourth down conversion defense, yards per play allowed, third down conversion defense, total defense top 10 nationally, scoring defense top 10 nationally, tackles for loss top 10 nationally, red zone defense, first downs allowed, passing efficiency. They were in the top 10 in all of them. And then, oh, by the way, either first or second in the SEC in third down conversion, fourth down conversion, rushing defense, tackles for loss, and totals defense. I feel like Ace Ventura when he just screams and then he just runs out of breath. That was me right there talking about all the great things that this defense did, okay? But you did lose James Pierce. You did lose some key players, but you also bring back quite a bit of talent as well. Joshua Josephs along the defensive front, 39 tackles, 9 TFLs, 1.5 sacks. Bryson Eason, as you can see on the screen there, 24 tackles, 16 solo, 7 TFLs. Arian Carter at linebacker, team high 68 tackles, 29 solo, 6.5 TFLs. And then the big name to know in the secondary, a guy that the NFL draft people love. I know he's dealing with some injury stuff, but Jermon McCoy, preseason first-team All-American, 4 INTs, 9 PBUs, was a second-team All-American last year. Yeah, that dude's filthy. So, yeah, that's Tennessee. Let's get to the schedule really quick, because to me, this becomes a fascinating part of the conversation. For people who are not listening or watching to these back-to-back, we just did Oklahoma, which is ironic, of course, because of the Josh Heupel, story there. But I bring it up because with Oklahoma, you like the personnel, but you are terrified of the schedule. Well, Tennessee, yes, they have a lot of new pieces. Yes, they have a lot of things that need to get figured out, but it's kind of worth noting this as well. Schedule is about as manageable as you can possibly have in the SEC. First of all, yes, you open with Syracuse. That game is in Atlanta. I'm guessing there will be 100% orange in that stadium. I'm guessing 95% of it will be Tennessee orange, okay? You play East Tennessee at home. Then I know you do play Georgia early, but a couple things here. You get them at home. That's obviously great. And I know Heupel was asked about kind of just the overall struggles with Georgia. Yeah, Georgia's a great program. But here's the catch here. If you're going to play Georgia, this is when you want to play them. This will be Gunnar Stockton's first career road start, okay? So it will be fascinating to see. Yes, Joey Aguilar, it'll be his first SEC start, but it's going to be Gunnar Stockton's first career road start in front of 1,000 people at Neyland Stadium. You get UAB from there. They're kind of a disaster. You get Mississippi State, obviously a revenge game against Arkansas that's coming off of a bye. Third Saturday in October, you play Alabama. And then I will say the November schedule, a little bit challenging. Home against Oklahoma, away against Florida, and then you close with Vandy. But I'll say this. That's about as easy of a schedule as you will have in the SEC. And listen, I'm not trying to make this into a segment about another team, but I'll tell you this. I got a buddy who's a Florida fan. He was whining to me on the phone the other day about Tennessee's schedule. Oh, we have to play at Texas at home. We have to play at A&M. Have you seen Tennessee's schedule? Well, guess what? Them's the breaks, Florida fans. Them's the breaks, Oklahoma fans. Them's the breaks, Alabama fans. About as easy of a schedule as you can have. And I was thinking about this. Some would disagree. I'm not saying that this is a universal opinion, but I think most people probably feel like this. And we'll see what, by the way, we're recording before the SEC official preseason poll comes out. I feel like most people feel this. There's a clear top 4 in this league in some order: Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think whoever, Tennessee should be in it. Maybe you think Oklahoma should be in it, whatever. I think most people think there's a definitive top 4. I think there's also a definitive bottom 4. Sorry, Vandy, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mississippi State fans. And I think everybody else is in the middle. Ole Miss is in the middle. Oklahoma's in the middle. Tennessee, in my opinion, is in the middle. Well, think about that. Producer Matt, pop up the schedule again. Top 4. Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and LSU. Don't play Texas. Don't play LSU. You do have to go to Bama. That's certainly not going to be easy. But you get Georgia at home. Again, Gunnar Stockton's first career start. And then the bottom 4, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy, all on the schedule. And I think when you play them, it's kind of interesting. Arkansas, listen, I think they have a chance to be maybe a little bit better with Taylor Green, but you get them off a bye. That's a revenge game from last year. Also, Kentucky, I'm just going to tell you this. That weekend of the 25th, Kentucky has an exhibition basketball game against Purdue at home. There might be more people in Rupp Arena, at least wearing blue that weekend than at Kroger Field, depending on how this Kentucky season goes. There might be more orange than blue at Kroger Field. You do have Oklahoma. Obviously, Florida's off of a pseudo bye. It's about as manageable of a schedule as you can have. And so let's go ahead and talk about the over-under win total. Over-under win total, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, is 8.5 wins, okay? What stands out to me about that? I think Tennessee's getting there. I really do. I understand Joey Aguilar. There's a lot to figure out. He's going through the same thing as UCLA's quarterback of he didn't get to campus till May. He doesn't know his teammates, whatever. But at the same time, look at that schedule. You not only avoid Texas and LSU, you avoid Ole Miss as well, South Carolina as well. Listen, I think Auburn is going to be improved, but you avoid Auburn as well. You get the 4 worst teams in this league. You have no significant out-of-conference games. Again, I know Syracuse fans will be mad if I say that, if such a thing exists as a Syracuse football fan. But at the same time, Syracuse on a neutral is your toughest out-of-conference game. Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. No LSU, no Texas, no South Carolina, no Ole Miss. I think Tennessee is going over 8.5. I think it's happening. All right, I think that's it for this episode of the College Football Betting Podcast. Do me a quick favor. If you're not subscribed to the show, please make sure to do so. YouTube, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you are not a subscriber to the show, please make sure to find us. Click the subscribe button, share with a friend. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the start of the year. Also find the Aaron Torres pod, which is, of course, available Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Additionally, college football betting, we're rolling, and it's mid-July now. We're going to keep on rolling. We will have another episode for you soon. We'll probably go the Florida Gators next. We'll see you soon. College football betting. By the way, if you missed any of the shows, we've already done Bama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma. Appreciate your support. Check those out as well.